What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jobbers and Goons, and in anticipation of the holidays and Christmas, on Christmas Day, I'm dropping 12 videos in the spirit of 12 days of Christmas. That's right. That shit's gonna be crazy. Now, if you want to get a video on one of the 12 days or 12 videos I'm dropping, hit me up on Discord, join, server link in the description down below, DM me or ask to talk to me in server, and we'll talk about squaring you away. And by the 21st, if I haven't had 12 people claim a spot, I'm going to give away in my server the rest of the slots. But thank you guys so much for watching so far. Make sure to go check out the second channel, Coffee Shop Comics, because this series we're doing right now, I do over there, and it's going to be a mainstay over there. But I decided to drop it on this channel mostly because it's a fat scaling amp, a fat cosmological, I would say, game changer in Marvel. And so it's big enough and definitely crazy enough for me to want to just put it on the main channel. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoy. This is going to be me covering Defenders Beyond 1 through 5. Beyonder caught a fat amp. Everyone caught an amp. Shit's getting real. I hope you guys enjoy. Smash the like button. Let's get it to 300 likes. And I will do a God of Stories Loki Goon video. But anyways, getting into this, let's talk about this series so far. So what we did learn as of recently is that Defenders Beyond will be returning. And when it does, it will be written by somebody else, which is okay, but, you know, I'm thankful that we got the forever consistent, in my opinion, from what I've read of him, Al Ewing. Like, he did a great job 1 through 5, and I'm excited to talk about this. So, what are the Defenders? The Defenders is a title for a superhero group that's been around for several decades in Marvel Comics. Obviously, not as big as a group like the Avengers or even the X-Men. But it is a group that is very important. You'll see why later on in this series, as this entry into the Defenders legacy is, in my opinion, the wonkiest we've ever seen. And if there is wonkier in the Defenders timeline for as long as it's been around, let me know in the comment section down below, because I'd definitely be interested in checking that out. But continuing with this, the Defenders, they defend against usually supernatural or extraterrestrial threats. And in this story, thus far, up to the beginning of Defenders Beyond, it's coming off the coattails of the death of Doctor Strange, with the passing of the Doctor bringing about the likes of the need for Blue Marvel to be contacted. Now, what is he contacted by? At this point in the story, Doctor Strange, knowing he's going to die because he's the GOAT, leaves a spell. And this spell is what is like a remnant of his magic after he got boloed. And when he pulls up, he essentially has this spell going, yo, Blue Marvel, what up? And Marvel's like, what the fuck is this? And he goes, yo, you need to understand something. Strange put me here for a reason, son, so you need to listen up. And Blue Marvel's like, yo, rest in peace to the homie and all that, but this shit might be a little too weird for me. And the spell goes, you need to understand, Blue Marvel, this is a summoning. This is me letting you know that reality needs you. And this includes a gear drop of sorts. One of the things being the Eternity Mask, which you guys are going to see in this video is absolutely busted. Tarot cards that portray the future, tell what's upcoming, and what is going to exist in the upcoming story. And a summoning of Taya, Galactus Mom, which is nuts to see her get such a mainstay. But yeah, she's from the Six Cosmos, and she's crazy as hell. Obviously, all this getting thrust in his face, Blue Marvel's like, yo, this shit is mad weird and mad suspect. I'm really not trying to get involved with all this. The spell of Strange then goes on to explain to Blue Marvel, he's like, look, I get you might feel a certain type of way about this, but At this point, you are like the supreme in terms of someone we want to lead us. And Blue Marvel's like, what does that mean? He goes, you are someone that we can trust to lead the Defenders for the sake of reality, because you've been to the edge of science and magic, like where those intersect. You've been there. So you have a pretty firm grasp on the idea that almost anything can happen in reality, which makes him extremely valuable, and you'll see why throughout the story. So he's like, okay, that's an interesting proposition. I kind of see where you're going with that. And Blue Marvel at this point, you know, he hears the plea of the spell, the initial plea. He hears what he would be getting into with this team, what team would be assembled around him, and he's rejecting it. He's like, you know, I don't want to do this. This is not some shit I'm interested in. It sounds mad dangerous, sounds mad sus. And that is when he realizes this shit is deeper than rap. You see, at this point, America Chavez is involved. That's right. If you don't know who America Chavez is, she's a character that, you know, some people are wishy-washy on. To me, she's actually pretty dope in this story. She's a character usually with like high-tier, dimensional, breaking punches and such, but here her power has been varied as of late. And when she's coming around, Blue Marvel's like, oh shit, this isn't a coincidence. Like, things are about to get real. So at this point, Marvel's kind of tripping because in the room to the portals he has goes off. So he's running around his base to the portal room. And at this point, by the way, just kind of a shameless plug, a reason this is a dope series on my second channel, Coffee Shop Comics, is because I do stuff like scaling in it as well. Not just talking about the comic itself and the lore. I'm also going to give you some scaling. Right here, this shit is fucking crazy for Blue Marvel, because casually in his laboratories, he has portals that lead to literal high outer to boundless realms. Like, these are realms multiple times above outerversal layers that go beyond narratives, comics, all that. He has portals to that. Okay, so Blue Marvel casually having that in his lab is ridiculous. Like, there's no other way around it. Blue Marvel is absurd when it comes to tech and shit he's capable of. So out of all the portals, from one emerges America Chavez. And Blue Marvel's like, yo, Chavez, what's going on? What you need? Like, what's popping? And she's like, yo, Blue Marvel, I really need to talk to you. Keep it short. Like, I gotta find my sister. I don't know where she is. We gotta fucking locate her. And he's like, look, this shit's getting kind of weird right now. I got these tarot cards. I got a dead man spell talking to me. Like, I should... Loki, I could use a blunt or something, but let's just go back to the lab and fucking figure this shit out. How about that? And she's like, alright, that's weird, but let's go. So they go back, and he's seeing more and more cards, you know, start to reveal themselves. And at this point, he's kind of spooked, because Blue Marvel's starting to realize, oh shit, like, this spell wasn't joking. Reality really is calling to us and is showing us that it wants us to fight for it. Like, literally, this is when we realize that each person shown on the card literally is being thrust into the group. And so reality / the cards, whatever you choose to believe, if magic or just reality warping, whatever, it's choosing the team. And it picks this team to defend the multiverse when it's in a time of crisis. And Blue Marvel's starting to realize, like, yo, it might not be as simple as me just saying no to a task like this. Like, this is some shit that is mad deep. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's just a super deep task very few can accomplish. And for the sake of everybody, I might have to undergo. So, as the team's rolling out, we see that female Loki is in the mix. Now, this is mad controversial because obviously not many people in the multiverse trust Loki, the god of mischief. Now, of course, being the Lord of Lies, Loki is immediately sus to them, and they're asking Loki questions, and Loki's like, look, this is what I really know for real, before everyone gets out of pocket. The cosmos are what's dictating this story. I'm the storyteller. You know, I'm the one that messes with stories because, as you know, God of Stories is around. If you haven't seen or read about God of Stories Loki, definitely hit up my second channel because I've done a video on Loki over there. But God, I either did it here or over there. Check one of the channels. Maybe I'll link it here. We'll see. But female Loki is someone that can control narratives or scales above narratives, right? Which goes to a high outer degree in Marvel. And, you know, is suspected immediately of fucking with everything, but Loki's like, nah, this is like the story reality needs to play out. And as Blue Marvel and Chavez, among others, try to brawl with her, Loki then reveals the final member is being announced before they travel into the mystery beyond reality itself in order to find the threat to reality. Now, the final member is Tigra. Not the most popular character in Marvel Comics, but as you will see, is a critical member to the group. This is actually one of those runs I enjoy because a lot of these characters on this batshit crazy adventure are key to the story or the team. So they all matter. Like, all these characters matter, which is dope to see. So we're going to see right now the roster, which has panned out to be Blue Marvel, America Chavez, Taya of the Six Cosmos, Loki, and Tigra. Okay, that's the squad. That's your Defenders Beyond in the current edition. Now, from Blue Marvel's perspective, who's seen as the adjunct picked leader of this group from Eternity in the Cosmos, he kind of has a perspective on some of these characters, you know, and like how they could help the team. What are they bringing to the table? Now, first is Loki. Loki, to Blue Marvel at least, is an unknown narrative. He's obviously encountered Loki before, typically in the 7th Cosmos edition. But I think that's correct, but it should be 7th Cosmos. And he's used to the male Loki confronting him. This is girl Loki from the 8th. And so the narrative of this, like, God of Stories Loki version, he's just not sure what that brings. Next is America Chavez. Now, to him, she is dope. Like, he says it. Like, Chavez, to me, is someone I can rely on. She might be weakened right now in terms of power, but at least I know she's reliable from a character standpoint. So, like, if shit goes down, she's got my back. That matters a lot to Blue Marvel. Next is Tigra. Now, as I said, Tigra's not the most popular character, but he's like, you know, she's not the Hulk or Thor or anything, but she has helped the Avengers from time to time. Like, she's helped other heroes. Overall, Tigra, from Blue Marvel's perspective, had a pretty good reputation and was someone you could trust. Taya is completely unknown. Like, all that's known is that's the mother of the kid that turns out to be Galactus, who eats fucking planets, alright, and threatens reality sometimes for shits and giggles because he has to be the balance. It gets real, okay? So her son's a problem child. She's aware of that throughout the story, and it kind of makes her interesting. But she herself is not, like, as extreme as her son. It's just, like, yeah, she has bad ties, but if she's a bad person, debatable. So, kind of unknown. Now, Eternity's watching over them and starts giving them the speech, like, yo, y'all are my heroes. You need to go confront the threat to me. And to do so, you need to go beyond me and keep going beyond and beyond until you finally meet the threat. Do not bow to any powers. Don't bow to any smoke. Get the job done. You're the fucking Defenders. And they're like, okay, Eternity, hype beast. And they get thrown to the beyond. Now, this is the first layer beyond all things. And this beyond, or this layer, reveals the Beyonder. Now, this was big time. Seeing that Beyonder was about to be a major part of this story, big for a lot of people. I mean, Beyonder has a lot of fans in the community, and so seeing him come forward as a character and be like, yo, what are y'all doing in my hood? Like, I am from the Beyond. What's going on? And he's completely beyond eternity and through a void. And it's just super dope to see that he is being pulled up on by the Defenders. Now, at this point, Beyonder's kind of guiding them, and you'll see where to and who to meet. But we're getting, as a reader, the absolute best possible thing we could want, especially if you're a power scaler. We get some sense of the cosmos, so strap in. First cosmos, that's the first thing we're going to talk about. This housed the Celestial War. Now, this is important because Celestials at this point, they're getting a fat ass amp, right? Like, they exist before stories, the multiverses and Marvel creation, all these things, like, they're there, right? And they don't really have anything to do. So what do they do when they're bored? They beef. This beef was crazy, and it is what is known as the Celestial War. Now, eventually, a massive weapon was made, and this weapon led to the destruction of this chaotic first cosmos. That really was nothing. It was because it was before everything. And this was completely destroyed, and in the destruction of the first cosmos, it made way to the second cosmos. Now, second cosmos is mad interesting. And by the way, that first layer is obviously high outer, being beyond narratives, multiverse dimensions, layers beyond dimensions, layers into outer. It's ridiculous. Super high scaling. Second cosmos was endless, infinite, what ifs, and possibilities. This was essentially supposed to be like a realm where anything could happen. Nothing's really scripted per se. There's no stories, there's no narratives. That kind of thing doesn't exist. But this is something where anything could be. And at this point we see, among the second cosmos, Celestials created Beyonders to surpass even their creators in power, which is crazy to think about when I just told you how strong they are. And the reason they're supposed to be able to do this is they're supposed to be able to navigate beyond that power and stop the Celestials from ever doing something as large of a scale as Celestial War again. Like, they're just there to prevent that. They're the safety net. So to be the safety net, they got to be stronger than what they're protecting against. And so it makes sense that they're supposed to narratively go beyond the high outer Celestials here, right? At this point, the second cosmos, just being what ifs, possibilities, eventually broke. And rebirth is what occurred in the cosmos, as this had to occur in order to forge a cosmos that was able to house narratives and allow for narratives to form and occur. So this is like a big deal. They were like, yo, we need a cosmos where stories can actually happen, narratives can exist, things of these nature can go on. And so the third cosmos is forged where this could possibly occur. And what makes this dope at this point is that the beyond is remnants of the second cosmos. So now we know how strong or where the beyond should be or located. It's easily high outer, even going beyond from where narratives could be and stuff like that. Like, it is stupid high outer, and it makes sense that they pass this layer beyond even the concept of eternity. This is, after seeing all this, we see the Ivory Kings, right? And like, these are controversial characters in the scaling community for Marvel. Obviously, they're high outer just being here. But they appear, and what makes this interesting in this standoff is we kind of get the vibes from Blue Marvel and Loki that they could brawl with the Ivory Kings, right? Like, they're not afraid to square up with them. They're like, yo, if we got to fight them, we'll do that shit. Like, Blue Marvel's not shook. And that's a little interesting. I mean, let me know in the comment section down below. Ivory Kings versus Defenders Beyond. Do you think Defenders Beyond could beat them in a fair fight? Story gives us what they believe would be the answer, but you let me know in the comment section down below on an even battlefield without plot. What do you think goes on? Well, we see that among the Ivory Kings is the Beyonder, right? And the Defenders are looking at him, and they're like, yo, isn't that the dude that, like, showed up in our universe once? And the Ivory Kings are like, what? And they're like, yeah, like, pretty sure that dude pulled up one time and, like, he was fucking stuff up. Like, he was just doing hood rat shit. And everyone acts like real confused. Obviously, the Ivory Kings are talking down to them as higher beings. And all of a sudden, Beyonder shrinks down. He's like, yo, just fucking with y'all. Yeah, we for sure pulled up. And I for sure, for one, pulled up. And I was what you would call the pre-retcon Beyonder. So this is when we see the exchange occur between the Defenders and the Beyonder on, like, who he is and what he represents. So Beyonder explains, he's like, look, when I appeared in your universe, yes, I was a problem. Like, obviously, Abstracts didn't want to fuck with me. I was pulling up on all the heroes. Like, I was a big dog. But he's like, you need to understand. I was someone that accidentally discovered you guys. Like, I wasn't trying to pull up. It was when I was in my infancy stage. In the Beyond was breached by, obviously, as you guys know, Molecule Man, which is obviously a high outer feat for that to even occur. Beyonder is like, at that point, infant me pulls up on the Marvelverse, but not shit was really popping for him because narratively he gets weaker showing up there. He narratively like lowered himself to be able to understand them, so he was massively nerfed. So despite all the scaling you have for pre-retcon Beyonder, all the crazy shit he done, he was nothing to this Beyonder right now, which is funny because this is the same Beyonder. It's just he's matured in power. He's like beyond the initial binds of his narrative. So he's like, you guys need to understand that was nothing compared to what I am now. The Defenders, then after hearing like this, learning all these things, they learned that demolition on the 7th Cosmos occurred to prevent an incoming assault of some kind. They then said that this assault would occur anyways, even in a new Cosmos. So, like, even if they restarted the Cosmos, it comes back anyway. Just another side point of scaling. It's also revealed that Beyonders reside in the engine room of creation. You then see that you can indeed go beyond the Ivory Kings. Like, it doesn't stop at the Ivory Kings. This, to do so, is considered to be non-linear according to the Ivory Kings. Like, if you go beyond them, you're just going beyond what they consider to be possible to do or something good to do. This would also put you beyond things like the Enigma Force in Marvel Comics, as they specifically talk about that and producing that. And it's even dangerous for a character as strong as Beyonder himself to go to regions like this. Now, at this point, Blue Marvel's like, yo, it's looking like we're going to have to scrap with the Ivory Kings. And so he pulls out the Eternity Mask, and he's like, America Chavez, don't you like fighting Abstracts and brawling with high-tier characters? And she's like, yeah, it's kind of clouded. Like, what's up? He says, yo, I got this fucking mask. I need you to put this shit on and brawl with them. Because she was like, yo, I can't just brawl, my powers are kind of drained. Well, he's like, nah, I got this mask. Trust me, you'll be amped. So, what's interesting is we immediately see this mask bypasses even needing to concede of the power you are fighting and equaling. What I mean by that is, if I'm putting on the Eternity Mask, it will still equalize our power or give me the same power as you, as that's explicitly stated what it's supposed to do. And I don't need to understand the extent of your power to copy it. The mask automatically does it for me. Like, even if your power is inconceivable to my mortal mind, let's say you're a higher dimensional intelligence, my mask will still equal you anyway. I don't need the mask to pull that off, or I don't need the understanding in order for the mask to pull it off, which is nuts to see. So we see her put this mask on. She says, hey, Beyonder, let's see how those fucking hands work. And she punches the fuck out of Beyonder. He goes flying in this wild panel, and he's like, yo, real shit? I've never been hit like that before. He was like, I've done a lot of shit. Obviously, I've been to y'all's universe. I've done things outside of that. But I've never been hit with a power like that before. And so, to him, this turns into a game. Like, oh, shit, I get to brawl with something that's actually a threat. That's pretty interesting. Let's get right into it. We then see that the Ivory Kings are kind of shook by this concept. They're looking at what's going on, and they're like, yo, It's possible this mask they got right there, like that shit they got, even though they can't conceive of our power, it's possible that shit is giving them a real chance in the fight. And at that point, they're getting pulled up on. And guess who it is? Big fucking Loki. Loki's like, yo, bitches, I know you think you're so strong. I know you transcend us and all that. But it would be a damn shame if I subjected you to the power of narrative. That's right. He's not scared to use narrative power on the Ivory Kings. Now, when this happens, and he's actually starting to impact them with his narrative, which is high outer or her narrative. All right. Like I don't know if Loki gives a fuck if I misgender, but it is what it is. Loki, okay, god damn it. So Loki is like, yo, I'm cooking your bitch ass with the narrative, and it is impacting the Ivory Kings. The Ivory Kings lash out. They're like, damn, that you're trying to showboat on us, like you're trying to show us up. You think you're strong enough to brawl with us? And starts fighting back and is like, you want to know how this story ends? I'll show you, bitch. And tries to put them on a t-shirt. Like, it's starting to get real. The defenders at this point are like, okay, this brawl's kind of getting murky. I don't know how it's going to go. Most of the defenders at this point are getting ran down on by one of the Ivory Kings. And he's like, you know, I got the drop on you. I'm going to let it fly. Starts blasting away with this insanely just... You got to remember, this is outside of even multi-eternity. This is high outer to the easiest degree of a blast from this Ivory King. Blue Marvel says, fuck this guy. Takes off, blasting past the energy blast itself. Doesn't even get hit by it. Rocking the shit out of the Beyonder. And we see the Ivory King, its head start to glow, right? And it gets blasted. Its physical form, at least, its quote flesh suit, gets torn apart by Beyonder's Blue Marvel's antimatter power, which is crazy. And at this point, the group has to assess the situation. They're like, I don't know if we could beat them. I don't know if we're strong enough. It's most likely we can't go all out in war with the Ivory Kings. Now, we do know Blue Marvel can one-tap beyond matter forms. We also know that Loki can change narratives. Like, this could be an interesting battle. I don't know. Maybe that's an interesting what if to see over on Coffee Shop, or if someone wants to purchase it for the Christmas gauntlet, let me know in the comment section or on Discord. But this Defenders team versus the Ivory Kings, I think it might be closer than the team gave themselves credit for. Now, Loki, this is something interesting as well. Some people might argue Loki gave Blue Marvel that power to one-tap. He didn't. His narrative was underdog, and he was like, yo, that's not my narrative for you to just one-tap. He's like, I know, but it's my power. So he just had that power. So it's absolutely not he wasn't amped by Loki. It was his own shit. Now, the Defenders, realizing shit could get sticky, they're like, let's just dip. We got to go beyond anyway. These guys aren't the enemy. Like, these aren't the final edition of what we're looking for in terms of a battle. Like, this is not the enemy of eternity. So there is a further beyond. Let's go there. And it's funny because at this point, America Chavez was brawling with Beyonder, and his running back is like, okay, team, let's get the fuck out of here. Beyonder's like, yo, America, I'm not done brawling, my boy, get back here. And they're like, yo, if you're really that interested in being around us, follow us. We're going beyond even the beyond. And he was like, oh shit, I'm down, bitches. And he jumps in right behind them. That's right, Beyonder wants all the fucking smoke. And this is crazy because we see at this point the other Beyonders talking about it. And they're like, yo, should we go after him? And the other Ivory King is like, no. Resist the narrative forces. We're not falling into that bullshit story. They said, yo, Beyonder went with them, but of course he fucking did. He's crazy. So he's going to have to survive the trial of wherever they're going next. And as they go beyond to where even the residual power of the Beyonder extends, we see Taya desperate, right? Like, Taya's like, yo, I'm not going out like this. I need to get back. I need to go speak with my son. I need to save my son. And Taya reaches out at the edge of what would be considered life, or what they consider life, to life itself. And this cry goes across this high outer realm they're in, and it reaches the Phoenix. The Phoenix then comes to Taya and promises to save her. That's pretty extreme. Now, this is where we see them end up in a wild realm. Like, this is one of the craziest road trips in comic book history. Smash the like button. We're already 30 minutes in. I'm taking my time on this video. That's why I know you guys haven't seen videos in the last few days. I've been working on this one, and I'm working on the Christmas, preparing content ahead of the Christmas gauntlet, so that when I hit my deadline for people to submit and then I do the giveaways, I'm ready to just record that. I want to have videos done in advance. So I've been prepping for this. You know, it's going to be a big move for the channel on our road to 20K. Now, they're in the room where the Phoenix is made. It's not just as simple as, oh, they're pulling up the Phoenix hood. No, this is confirmed. Not just Phoenix, but actually the room where the Phoenix is made. Now, we see, of course, the Phoenix here manifest through Taya, so you could actually argue it's not even the truest form. You know, maybe there is a form even beyond that, but regardless, this is where the Phoenix, or as they interpret it, appears, right? They can possibly go beyond this realm. Like, they're not just limited to this realm, but to do so, they would be threatening to go into darkness, which, of course, the darkness beyond the light of all things it's intimidating. You know, it's a wild thing to think about. Now, Adam, at this point, is kind of split up from the group. He's talking to a couple characters. He's talking to the Phoenix, and he's talking to a guy with a construction hat on, some sunglasses. He's like, yo, who is this dude with the porn star stash? And he's going back and forth with Phoenix, back and forth with this guy, trying to get a grasp on where they are, how this cosmologically makes sense, where he could find the ops. And he starts to realize during this conversation, like, yo, this might be God. So he's like, yo, dude, are you God? Like, are you the creator of life? Am I getting warm on my guess? And the Phoenix is like, you're not just getting warm, you're getting white hot. And obviously reference White Hot Room. We then see, and it cuts over to Beyonder and Loki hanging out, right? And Beyonder's making fucking smoothies. This man is a beast. He's just doing whatever he wants. And Loki's like, yo, big homie Beyonder, why do you have a blender? And he goes, blenders, smoothies, like the process of that shit really calms a pimp down. And he was like, you know, we're in a situation where we could possibly end up beefing with the truest form of the Phoenix. And Beyonder goes, I don't think we can fuck with that. I don't think we can beat the truest form of the Phoenix. I think we will get mopped. So if we're gonna get mopped, I at least might as well enjoy myself and eat a fucking smoothie. Matter of fact, you want some? And Loki's like, nah, I'm good. And then they suddenly see a mouth appear with fire screaming Loki, right? Like, shit's about to get real. We then say, see Phoenix confronting Loki. And they get into a back and forth, right? Get into a bit of a disagreement. And he's like, look, we're here to make a move for eternity. It's not the most fun day I've had, but we got to do this shit because we got to save everything. And Phoenix goes, the idea of going beyond here, like even where we are, is absolutely insane. And on top of that, you're fucking trespassing in my realm. And he goes, I know, but we got a story to complete. Like, you know, me, I'm Loki. We got the team. Like, we're trying to do some shit. Meanwhile, Beyonder's over there still fucking with the blender. And Phoenix is like, I don't think you heard me. I'm passing judgment. And that's when the battle begins. They pissed off the Phoenix. This is crazy because Beyonder, Blue Marvel, who's been getting like a sense of creation, a sense of where he is, how the cosmology is working out. He himself sees all this going on. He's like, you know what? I'm sick and fucking tired of people trying to bolo us. It's time for me to get buckets. And he turns up and starts brawling with the Phoenix. That's right. Our boy Blue Marvel was throwing hands with the Phoenix. Now, Phoenix and Blue Marvel are going back and forth, right? He's like, yeah, I'm not willing to go down to you. Like, it's wild that you're doing this to us. We're just trying to get the job done. And is honestly painting Phoenix to be a horrible creature, right? Like, he's like, yo, for life, you're trying to bolo us, which isn't cool. So they're going back and forth. Blue Marvel, of course, not able to take Phoenix by himself. And at a certain point, Beyonder decides to step in. Now, how's he going to step in? This man throws his blender. We see Phoenix get rocked by a blender. And Phoenix turns to Beyonder and is like, yo, why the fuck did you hit me with a blender? He's like, yo, I'm going to be real. Like, I could have made something, like, mad cool to throw at you or whatever. But this is crunch time, trying to make a place. Plus, it'd make this place mad cluttered. Didn't want to do that, so I threw my blender. And he was like, I was doing all that so that the homie could pull up. And we see Loki get involved as the god or goddess of stories is down to make a play. Now, at this point, we have seen that, like, Blue Marvel is consulting on how to defeat the Phoenix, right? Like, he's talking to the person he perceived as potentially God, and is like, look, we need a move. Like, we need a play to make. How do we survive this encounter with Phoenix? How do we get beyond this? Like, how do we take care of the mission? And the guy's like, you know, that's not really my call to make. This is up to the Defenders team to solve the problem. Blue Marvel thinks carefully. He's like, you know what? Yeah. And if I could talk to anyone on my team, it would be Tigra, which sounds really interesting in terms of like how that would work out, but you're about to see why he says that. So then we shift over to the brawl with the Phoenix, right? The other people fighting Phoenix, and America Chavez is pulling up on Phoenix and is like, yo, I know you're the big bad, I know you're the Phoenix, I know we're in your hood, but shut up, bitch. I got the Eternity mask. Puts the mask on and slides like she bumps Future all day. This shit was getting hectic. I mean, like, literally, she's throwing bungalows at Phoenix. They're going back and forth. And we see Loki and Beyonder be like, oh shit, like, this is actually a brawl. And Loki's like, yeah, it's a brawl, but at the same time, you know, shit could get risky. Because ultimately, it kind of just equalizes power. But the person with more experience, the person that's used to power more, the person that's just a better fighter, all that matters. So the equalize out doesn't necessarily secure you the W. You still got to win the fight. And Phoenix isn't the easiest thing to fight. So then we see that Blue Marvel is going to help clutch this battle. How? Because he's figured out Tigra. Tigra has an ability / connection that makes her particularly able to combat a force like the Phoenix. You see, Tigra is someone that can access a power that is sort of a balance, you know. Even a creature as grand in design and power as Phoenix has something that could act like a balance / something that could equal it out. So then this is when we see Tigra turn into Clutch Zilla. Tigra goes beyond. Where she go beyond? She goes to the shadows. Now in the shadows, symbolizing the shadow of the hunt, the shadow of the night, all that, there's the tiger prowling, even outside of the light being something like Phoenix. So Tigra brings forth the tiger force itself. This greenish force of power we immediately see is supposed to symbolize / be that power we were referencing as something being good enough to combat against the likes of the Phoenix Force, being strong enough to go against it. And so this immediately gives the Beyonder some hope in winning the fight, right? Which is pretty funny to think about because they don't win that shit. In fact, they start falling into an abyss. Even Beyonder can't slow the fall. And eventually they get to this weird location, right? Like most of them land rough and they're like, dude, what the fuck happened? Like, what's going on? They get up and they're like, what? Where are we? And they hear a voice go, yo, relax everyone. You guys burned to the fire. You all died. You were just consumed by the fire. Obviously, this is referencing that they did not defeat the Phoenix Force. While they fought hard, the Phoenix still burned them. The Phoenix was still able to get the drop on them. It's rough out here for a pimp. And so, while they're getting up, this voice is like, you guys have gone to the abyss beyond all things. But luckily, I can help you because I'm Glorion and I lead down here. So they're interacting with a character most people don't know, don't really need to care about. I don't think he'll be that much of a major character going forward, but still, he's major here in the abyss for them. So immediately, the team's subjected to like these weird different realities, like different forms of existence, different what ifs that they are unknowingly being subjected to. So think of it like if you've ever seen Age of Ultron when all the heroes were mind hacked by Scarlet Witch. This is kind of like that on a high outer scale, right? They're immediately mind hacked and they don't know it. However, one of the characters is able to, like, literally just off rip, be able to fight back and have the power to do so. That, of course, being America Chavez. Why? Because America is rocking the Eternity Mask. So off rip, she's able to see through the shit and be like, no, I'm not going through this. This really confuses Glorion, but at the same time, fuck that guy. He's so irrelevant to me. I was like, why is this guy a main character at this current junction in the arc? But regardless, she's like, damn, if I'm going to tank this, I got to figure out a way to help my compromised team survive in a realm that is beyond even stories. You know, like, this shit is crazy. So, lucky for her, right? The rest of the team is able to start pulling it together. So we see that at this point, the team's starting to reject these false realities, like these stories being told to them that they are playing part in. They kind of realize, like, this is not the shit they really want. So they begin one by one to reject these realities. At one point, Chavez comes to realize while confronting Glorion that there's one character there that is mad and terrifying for the likes of someone like Glorion. And who was that character? It was God of Stories, Loki. Why? Because Loki, with the power of the narrative, can do a lot of bullshit in a fight and in a situation. So Chavez is like, you know what? Fuck that. We're giving this guy the Eternity Mask, right? Loki, take the shit. Fuck it. And at this point, Glorion's like, yo, you're all rejecting me? Whatever. I'll just go get power from Beyonder. And Beyonder is like, I don't think so. I think I'm just gonna summon the rest of the team instead because this shit's kinda lit. And it'll be even more lit if everyone else pulls up. So the team's all there now, right? Like, shit's getting real. This is when we see Loki pull boss moves. That's right, in the trenches, God of Stories, Loki, hella reliable. Loki goes on to summon the Queen of Nevers, or Always, the lover of eternity. This is a being that, even to someone like Glorion, who's basically trying to be a storyteller in a realm beyond stories, which makes him weirdly OP, nothing to the Queen, right? Glorion gets folded, you know. He gets returned to irrelevancy. Fuck that guy. Like I said, just a boring character. I don't care who he is at all. We then get introduced to the realm via the Queen, right? After Glorion's dealt with, and they're like, yo, rip Glorion, he could have been something. There, it's revealed, while they were at nothing, there's an opposite to nothing. This is interesting for Marvel scalers in the comment section down below. Now that we know that there's an opposite to nothing, which should include nothing basically at its highest form being Oblivion, what do you think about Oblivion definitely having an opposite now? That's crazy. But anyways, There's nothing. And the opposite of nothing is everything. There is a realm that exists to such a high degree in Marvel. It is made of pure knowledge and all things. It is like a simplified form of just raw comic book data. Like, it's this ridiculous archetypal realm. Now, this is, again, like, for power scaling purposes, just, again, adds another high outer layer to the cosmology. Like, we're getting wild with those numbers at this point. But at this, we see that this isn't like the last layer. In fact, it's just a bridge. Beyond this layer is one of the most popular layers to talk about in Marvel because of how crazy the scaling gets from it. This is the House of Ideas. That's right, everyone. House of Ideas, of course, has to be talked about in Defenders Beyond as they are making their way through the highest peaks of the cosmology. If you don't know, I've covered House of Ideas before in my God of Stories Loki video, and this is a realm where like all the narratives, all the stories of like main characters and such in Marvel reside. It's supposed to be like the pinnacle realm of what can be in Marvel. Now the team enters the House of Ideas. Smash the like button if you haven't already, because it's getting even crazier here. The House of Ideas has been engaged and shit is going down. So Blue Marvel is talking to what is assumed to be the one above all, who looks like this giant golden figure painting in the House of Ideas, and he says, I am one who only fights with the weapon of love. I see all things. I create all things. The mystery intrigues me. All these things. He goes, I am the one above all. And everyone's like, damn. Crowd goes crazy, right? Except for Blue Marvel. This man looks at him up at him and goes, look here, Chief. That might be a dope intro, but I don't believe you. And you're like, oh shit. Blue Marvel standing up to God. It's getting real. You shift over to the fact there's also a battle going on at one point in which basically inside of here, Blue Marvel and gang has to battle like these archetypal / conceptual beings that are just trying to blitzkrieg them, fuck them up, be monsters, all these things, and really test the power and might and creativity of the team. Like, they're really stressed out battling these creatures. We then get back to this exchange between Blue Marvel and the one above all. So above all is like, yo, if you're so smart, let me know why you're saying all this shit about a pimp. Like, why are you saying I'm not the real one above all? And Blue Marvel goes, because if you were the real one above all, we would not be able to perceive you. There is no way, no matter how amped we get, no matter how haxed we get, no matter how many of us team up, we won't be able to reach your true level or perceive of you. That's just not the case. So even though this is, the full extent of probably where we could reach in terms of the cosmology, maybe there's a little bit more, but in terms of where we could feasibly go to without just ceasing to exist, because we literally just can't get that far. This is just an avatar. Despite being so insane, and I am acknowledging your power, Blue Marvel's like, I believe this is just an avatar. I don't believe you're the final creator. I believe there is one above you. This is not the one above all. This is just one representing the one above all. So, at that point, the one above all Avatar is pretty intrigued by this, right? And it's like, alright, you slick bastard. Like, you're pretty smooth with it. Why don't you tell me what you want. Like, you and your group, y'all can get like one question. We'll go with that. Like, so they start asking questions. Like, for example, Chavez is like, will I ever find my sister? And he's like, yeah, for sure. Like, at some point. Tiger is like, yo, do I ever go home? Like, shit, I'm not trying to be here. And he's like, yeah, eventually the story will let you go home. Depends on the storyteller. Stuff like that, right? Like, just giving vague answers to their kind of vague questions. You'd think they'd have better, more concise questions, but it is what it is. And at that point, one of them asks, like, yo, what's the final threat we face? Like, what's the boss battle? What's the enemy of eternity, aka the enemy of existence? And at that point, they see a multifaceted crown. A, like, weirdly spanning across what appears to be, like, symbolism of, like, all layers, maybe. A crown that can, like, do all things. Appears to be, like, the end of all things. Like, that shit was massive. And they're like, yo, this must be the crown above all. It's the Enigma. They call it the Enigma to come. And that's like what's perceived as the next final boss for them. I could see that being Thanos, because he had that weird crown that I made fun of in my Thanos review, Death Notes. Check that out, shameless plug. But that might be what it is. I don't know. But this gets to the group kind of conversing, and Loki's like, look, done a lot of shit. Helped a lot of people. Like, it's been a hell of a ride, dog. Like, for real. Like, we did numbers. But I don't know if I want to stay. Like, I think I'm gonna leave the stories and go cook. You know, just do my own thing and leave. I'll leave like 8th Cosmos Loki to deal with everything. You know, I'll bring the boy back. And Blue Marvel is like, that's cool and all, but I reject your retirement. You see, Loki, there's a lot of shit we can do. There's a lot of shit we need you to do. Eternity needs you. Like, stories need to be told. And whether you want to admit it or not, you enjoy the story. You like being a part of the story. You like telling the story. That's what Loki is. And Loki's like, you know what? You're right. I'm kind of vibing with making stories. I'm kind of vibing with working on stories. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So Loki decides to remain within Marvel. And is like, yeah, I'll stick around. I'll get it popping when I need to. I won't just leave the stories. And that's pretty dope to see. Like, knowing going forward, a character the caliber of a god of stories, Loki, is in the mix. That's pretty crazy. But at this point, there's a character that doesn't really respect that. Big Beyonder. This is a Beyonder that's witnessed all this, realizes they're all in comics and shit like that, because Loki's messing with comics. And Beyonder's like, yo, Loki, you're telling me you're aware of all this? You know about these narratives, these comics, all these things you can retcon, things you can get out of, and you don't leave? You stick around? And Loki's like, yo, big fellow, first of all, watch your mouth. Secondly, I'm in these books because I want to be in the books. Like, I want to be a part of stories. I want to tell stories. This is like, these are things I want to do. So, I don't really give a shit that I'm here. Like, this is something I want to do. And Beyonder goes, dude, fuck all that. The fact that I know this, game changer. And Beyonder proceeds to rip his comics. He goes, I hate, and he's Loki. He's speaking for people like me, readers like me, because I've always said, and you can check my old videos, anything with Beyonder content in it, I always said, I feel like pre-retcon Beyonder is just way more important narratively than the Beyonders, even when they brought them in as a retcon. Like, I just felt like he was the GOAT. And I'm so fucking glad they GOAT the boy up. He's like, I'm the original Beyonder. I don't follow suit. I'm not some baby to them. I'm the GOAT. He said, I'm leaving this fucking story. I'm gonna go investigation. I'm going beyond. I'm gonna do my own thing. Damn this. And it's like, you know, his story's not done there. It explicitly states Beyonder's still going to be in the mix somehow, some way, which is amazing to see. But yeah, he says, damn that, damn the narrative. I am going to dip and find my own way. So Beyonder caught this fat amp, obviously high outer, and he's making plays. He's getting out of there. He's going to go do his own thing. But no doubt, we're going to see him again. And in the end, like towards the end of this story, they realize that no matter how they feel about certain things, no matter what they're doing, when the universe and existence needs heroes, it's going to call forth those heroes to save its stories. That's literally what heroes exist for. They're there to save the day. They're there to protect everything. And because of that, any of the heroes, narratively in Marvel, as it's shown on panel, would just be called forth to serve and protect the multiverse and reality. Like we see all the heroes that have served, and it's super dope to see homage paid to some of the classics that have served in the Defenders series. But overall, the first 5 issues, which was basically Ewing's run through the cosmology with Defenders Beyond, his chance to explore, and the way to really flesh out the cosmos for him on the Marvel side of things. I had a blast reading it, and he said, you know, if they decide to pick this up, it's dope. If they don't, they don't. But Ewing's done with it. Another writer has picked it up. So in a few months, we will be getting more Defenders Beyond, or / just Defenders. But overall, let me know what you guys thought of these comics in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Defenders? What do you think of Beyonder? What do you think of Blue Marvel? All these characters. Let me know. Let's start a discussion in the comment section down below. Also, check out my Discord server where we talk about comics like these every single day. Make sure to check out my second channel, Coffee Shop Comics, where comic book reviews will go up often. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 20K. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons. I'll see y'all later. Peace.